Hi, this is Ms. Pierce. I just wanted to go over a few things that'll be on the first day quiz that you'll have on the first Monday. You have on my website, you have a practice polyatomic ion quiz and a practice solubility rule quiz. But for the first day quiz, we'll sort of combine those things. And I'll ask you, if you have a compound potassium nitrate, what ions are present in the solution, if any. So in your solubility rules, potassium and nitrate are ions that are always soluble. That means that in water, if either of those ions are present in a compound, the water is strong enough to pull the ions apart. So in the solution, in the water, you would have potassium +1 and nitrate -1 ions. So do make sure that you show the charges on the ions when to show that they are dissolved in water. If you have a compound like calcium nitrate, you don't have a rule for calcium, but you have a rule for nitrate. Nitrate is always soluble no matter what the positive ion is. So in this case, this compound would also be soluble. You would result in calcium +2 ions and some nitrate -1 ions. Now you don't have to show the 2 nitrates, and you don't want to leave the parentheses 2 on the nitrate either. We want to show that these ions are totally separate from the initial compound, the crystal. And you really would have 1 calcium and 2 nitrate ions, but when we go to write equations with some of these rules, we're only going to want to show 1 of each ion. So just show 1 of each ion present. If you look at silver chloride, you have a rule for chlorine that says that chlorine is soluble except with silver, lead, and mercury. And so the silver chloride compound would be insoluble, would not come apart in the water. And so you can just tell me that there would be no, you would have no ions present. Sodium sulfate, here I'll give you the compound name in words, so you'll need to know the formula for sulfate. Sodium is one of those ions that is always soluble, so again, no matter what else it's with, sodium is going to be soluble, so this compound would split apart in water, and it would give you sodium +1 ions and sulfate -2 ions. And again, the real compound, the neutral compound would be Na2SO4, but you really only need to show 1 of each ions. This compound is an acid. We know that because it starts with an H. Everything else we're talking about on solubility rules are ionic compounds. Acids are actually covalent compounds. They share electrons to form the compound. So the only rule you can look at when you see a compound that starts with an H that is an acid, the only rule that you can look at is the soluble acid list. This is not one of the 6 soluble acids, so it will not come apart in water. And so if I ask you what ions are present, you would say none. Now in this case, neither one of these ions, zinc or phosphate, are covered under your rules. Your solubility chart has rules for ions that are always soluble or sometimes soluble. In this combination, neither one of these are on those rules, so we're going to assume that this compound is insoluble. None of the rules cover it to say that it's soluble, so everything else we're going to say is insoluble. And so in this case, you would say none. So all you would have in this case is water with a solid zinc sulfate precipitate sitting on the bottom of the beaker. And so that's sort of how the first day quiz will go. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Thank you.